Well, hello there, mechanical keyboard nerds. In today's video, we're going to be unboxing, reviewing, and sound testing the Keymove K98 mechanical keyboard, 1800 size mechanical keyboard. And yeah, I know what you were thinking when you woke up this morning. Can a $50 mechanical keyboard really be any good? I don't know, because I haven't opened the box yet. But we're going to find out in this video. Let's move into it, shall we? Alright, so let's unbox this bad boy and see what it looks like, see what it sounds like. So, this is obviously a pretty large keyboard, 98 keys, I believe, not quite 100% keyboard, very smushed down. It's supposed to be retro looking, which is I guess why they named it like the K98, and it says like 1980 all over it. I'm guessing they just wanted that to be retro feel. Really cool. I like this cable right here. I like these cable ties as well. That's a nice cable. I would want to reuse that. Ooh, it's got some like salmon colored inside of there. Cool USB-C cable remover, keycap, puller right there. This is kind of cool. It's like a one-pager manual. Nothing to flip through right here, but shows you the basic layout. It does have a lot of silicone dampening involved, which is really hard to see. It's very light, but okay. That's pretty cool. Shows you the function keys right here, which is handy to have that on just like a little one-pager. You could like throw that in your desk and, you know, forget about it. Okay, keyboard itself. Let's see what you got, Keymove. Let's pull you open here. This apparently has ABS keycaps, which is my personal favorite, to be honest with you. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's big, heavy, thick guy. So, right off the bat, I'm excited to see this thing light up here in a second. I'll show you. But otherwise, there's just lots and lots of interesting texture all over this keyboard, which I love. I think it looks really cool. It does look kind of retro. They didn't actually have anything like this in the 1980s, I'm pretty sure. But it looks great. So, tri-mode angles on the feet. Those are really sturdy, look really well. It does have 4 silicone feet, right, on each side to keep it from moving around. Actually, it has 6. There's some other ones right here, which is really interesting. As well as it dampens the sound of your desk or whatnot. That's really cool, actually. Left side, USB-C connection there. There's the front, if you will. Keymove on there really quick. Very thick, very not low profile. That's a really thick keyboard. And it lays, I gotta say, quite flat. Like usually, even without the feet going down, there's like a little bit of an angle. This actually lays quite flat and quite high. I don't really mind it, but if you have small hands especially, or depending on how you sit at your desk, you might want a wrist rest for this one, I will say. So, keycaps look amazing. I gotta say, they do look actually quite retro. I don't know what profile these are. Maybe I can look it up and put it in the description. I did not look it up, but they are not really high, like SA or ASA profile keycaps. They're like a really standard, I guess. It does look retro, I'm not gonna lie. I like that it has the function shortcuts and stuff on here, as well as Mac commands, in case you use Mac or PC or both. It has both of those kind of like written on there, which is pretty cool. Like how to switch between Mac and Windows. This must be different layers. Yep, several layers to switch from lighting, more lighting things with the function. You can see like down there. Looks great. I like the tritone color scheme. We'll do an official sound test in a second. But first thoughts, very heavy, very thick, actually lays quite flat, doesn't like tilt up a whole lot. And I like the design personally. I think it's really cool. We'll see what this looks like when this lights up here in just a second. All right, let's jump into the sound test. right, so let's wrap up talking about the K98SE. I'm going to give you my bottom line. I'm going to talk about sound and feel, and then just a very quick pros and cons list here. So, overall opinion, for the price, I really like this thing. It's set up well, it's built well, I like the way it sounds, feels okay, we'll talk about that. But for the price, it doesn't sound and feel cheap. There are a lot of the bigger box, Best Buy type of keyboard brands, gaming brands, their keyboards under $150, they sound and feel cheap to me. They just do. This doesn't. For the, sub 100, sub 50 maybe, sub $100 range, it doesn't sound and feel cheap. That's my bottom line. Now, sound. It does not sound thocky. It's not bassy, it's not low end. It is higher pitched, tappy, clacky. Again, these are the Kale, super cheap Kale switches, linears, reds. They would probably be very, very high end and clicky if you got the blues. But I like the way this sounds because I like the higher end pitch range, right, for my linear switches. If you want something thocky and bassy, don't buy this keyboard because it's not hot swappable and you're stuck with this. But again, I like it, and if you do too, you like the way it sounds, then you'll like the way it sounds in real life. There you go. And again, it doesn't sound cheap. It's not very scratchy. It doesn't sound cheap. It actually sounds pretty robust. Now, moving on to feel, it's a little stiff. Not just the switches either. The entire keyboard just feels a little stiff. I usually don't have like hand and finger fatigue with linear switches. Some people talk about that. I've never actually experienced that. But these Kale red switches and this keyboard in general for me, my fingers get a little tired on long typing sessions. If you're just using it for like a game here and there, or if you don't type for a living, you might not even notice, but it feels a little bit stiff to me. Again, it's not a deal breaker, quite frankly, because I like the way it sounds. And again, it doesn't feel cheap. Not at all. It's a heavy keyboard. There's definitely sound dampening in there. Long typing sessions, though, feels a little stiff. Now, really quick, let me just run through my pros and cons. I got my notes here, forgive me. Pros, it's very budget friendly. I'm not going to mention a specific price because it might change. It's extremely budget friendly. You cannot beat that for this price range. There are trade-offs, which we'll get to in a second, but it's very budget friendly. The keycaps, I personally like. I like this type of design. There's a white one, there is a dark mode, and hopefully they'll release the other color schemes that they have for their sister keyboard, the K98, that's like wireless, a little bit more pricey. Hopefully they release some of those designs, but I like the keycaps. They feel great, they look great. I like the design of the actual keyboard itself, with one exception, which I'll talk about in a minute. But there you go. The next pro on my list is lighting. I like this. You can't see it a whole lot from the video, but like half of the front of the keyboard is opened up to show your lighting. I personally like it. I haven't played around with a lot of the RGB modes. RBG? Dang it. Whatever. I haven't played around with the modes, but I actually like the way this feels. It's not overly annoying, but it's sleek at the same time. They did a good job with that. I personally like it. More pros. It's a great layout, by the way. The 98 key, it's just so nice having the numpad, but without the massive keyboard that's usually like this long. It's only like an inch or two difference, but it makes a big difference. Really, in my opinion. This feels more like an 80% keyboard, but obviously it's not. It's got the numpad over here. I like this. It's a good form factor. I approve. Last pro here is definitely muted, definitely has sound dampening, if that's the sound that you like. It is very heavy. It seems well constructed, well built, etc. Doesn't sound cheap. It doesn't feel cheap at all, even though it is quite budget friendly. Now, the cons. It's not hot swappable. If you don't like the way it sounds, don't buy this keyboard, because you can't change it. You can't really do a whole lot of modding here. You can take it apart for sure. You could desolder the switches or whatnot. Who wants to do that? That'd be terrible. You might as well just do a new kit from scratch instead of buying a budget keyboard. Wired only. Maybe they release a wireless version, although they kind of already have that. Like the K98. If you just go on Amazon, you can find one that's a little bit more pricey and is wireless. But this isn't that. This isn't that keyboard. It's not hot swappable. It's not wireless. What are you gonna do? You get what you pay for. It does feel a bit stiff. I'm not gonna lie. I mentioned that earlier, and I do think that's a little bit of a downside if you plan on using this for work, especially. I just know these keys, it's a little bit stiff. You might notice it after a couple of hours of typing on it. And the last con I have here, again, is this I mentioned in the beginning of this video, it's really high profile. Not overly so all throughout, but especially, like, it doesn't taper off towards the front of the keyboard where your hands sit. It doesn't matter for me because I stand up at my desk half the time and I have really large hands and I don't usually need wrist rests. But if you need wrist rests at all, you're definitely going to need one for this keyboard. It is very high profile right here. Again, I like the way this looks better than the tapered off look, a strong tapered off especially. But just so you know, it's a little stiff, a little tall up front. So that's all I got. KeebNews family, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, pay me money for things. Just support me. No, I'm kidding. Give the video a like or comment or subscribe or whatever the cool kids on YouTube are doing these days. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Adios.